The afternoon sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the city streets. Hudson and Rex have been following the trail for hours, moving through alleys, parking lots, and quiet side streets. Every turn seems to carry a sense of unease, as if the city itself is holding its breath. Hudson's eyes constantly scan the surroundings, alert for anything unusual, while Rex's nose stays close to the ground, picking up scents invisible to human perception. The missing woman's trail is faint, almost deliberately hidden, but every step brings them closer to understanding what happened. Hudson can feel it, something big is about to happen. Their search leads them to an old warehouse district, part of the city mostly abandoned. Rusted metal doors hang crookedly on their hinges, and broken windows reveal shadowed interiors. The smell of salt water mixes with damp concrete and mildew, creating an eerie atmosphere. Hudson motions for Rex to slow down, his instincts telling him that they are approaching something dangerous. Rex stops and sniffs at a broken chain lying across the pavement. Hudson crouches beside him, noticing scratches along the metal, as though someone or something had struggled here recently. It's a clue, subtle but significant, suggesting that whoever is behind the disappearance is both careful and calculating. Inside one of the warehouses, Hudson discovers more signs of recent activity. Footprints, muddy and smeared, lead deeper into the cavernous space. A tipped-over crate reveals personal belongings, a scarf, a jacket, and a notebook with pages ripped out. Each item tells a silent story, hinting at the presence of someone trying to escape or hide. Hudson picks up the scarf and waves it gently, inhaling the faint trace of scent that Rex immediately recognizes. The dog becomes alert, pacing in small circles, clearly picking up the trail of the person they are seeking. Hudson notes every detail, realizing that the clues left behind are both intentional and cryptic, like a puzzle meant to draw them in while keeping them one step behind. As they move through the warehouse, a sudden sound breaks the silence, a metallic clang echoing through the empty building. Hudson freezes, signaling Rex to stay quiet. The dog growls softly, his ears pinned forward, sensing movement just out of sight. Hudson's heart beats faster, knowing that whoever is responsible is close and watching. They advance slowly, every step deliberate. As shadows shift across the walls, Hudson catches glimpses of footprints in the dust, leading toward a narrow corridor that disappears into darkness. He reaches for his flashlight, its beam cutting a sharp path through the gloom. Rex steps ahead cautiously, nose twitching, following the scent with precision that leaves Hudson impressed but tense. Suddenly, they find a hidden door slightly ajar. The scent inside is strong, unmistakably human, and Hudson knows they've found the first real lead on the missing woman's location. He pushes the door open carefully, revealing a small room filled with boxes and stacked crates. The air is thick, heavy with dust and tension. A single chair sits in the corner, and on it, a piece of clothing that looks recently discarded. Rex moves forward, sniffing every inch of the space, and alerts with a sharp bark. Hudson approaches, heart pounding, and notices a note pinned to one of the crates. The message is cryptic, almost taunting. "You're closer than you think, but not fast enough." It's clear that the perpetrator is aware of their investigation, and the game has become personal. The discovery sets a new urgency in motion. Hudson retraces the trail, following Rex as the dog picks up a faint scent leading toward an external fire escape. They step outside, the evening sky casting an orange glow across the industrial area. Hudson feels the city's pulse quicken around him. The sound of distant traffic and the occasional clatter of debris heightens the suspense. Rex's attention sharpens as he leads them down a narrow alley, moving with a combination of determination and instinct. Every corner they turn, every shadow they pass, carries the potential for confrontation. Hudson knows they are closing in on the person behind the disappearance, but he also senses danger lurking just out of view. Then, at the far end of the alley, Hudson sees movement, a figure slipping behind a dumpster. Rex lunges forward, barking, and Hudson follows, careful to stay low and avoid drawing unnecessary attention. The figure darts between shadows, but the trail is no longer invisible. Footprints, disturbed trash, and broken twigs mark the path. Hudson's pulse quickens as he and Rex navigate the tight spaces, knowing that the missing woman's life could depend on every second. The tension is palpable, the stakes higher than ever. Each clue they uncover feels deliberate, a breadcrumb, left by someone who is clever, patient, and dangerously aware of their pursuit. The warehouse and surrounding streets have transformed into a chessboard, with Hudson and Rex trying to anticipate the next move of an unseen opponent. By the time they reach the edge of the alley, the figure is gone, vanished into the maze of streets and buildings. Hudson kneels, catching his breath, while Rex circles, alert and focused. Hudson examines the area carefully, noting signs of a struggle, a scuffed wall, a torn piece of fabric, and a faint smell lingering in the air. It's a trail, though faint, and one that requires both intuition and patience to follow. Hudson realizes that this case is more complex than he initially thought, requiring every skill he and Rex possess. The evening shadows grow longer, and the city seems to close in around them, emphasizing the danger and mystery that now define the opening episode of Season 9. The night settles over the city like a heavy blanket, muffling distant sounds and casting long, shifting shadows across the empty streets. Hudson and Rex move cautiously, guided by the faint trail they've been following for hours. Each step feels heavier than the last, the anticipation thick in the air. The city's usual noises, the honk of a car horn, the distant siren, seem muted, as if the world is holding its breath. Hudson's hand rests lightly on Rex's harness, feeling the dog's taut energy. Rex is alert, ears forward, eyes scanning the darkness, nose constantly twitching at scents invisible to the human world. Every instinct tells them they are close to the missing woman, close to the truth, and dangerously close to whoever orchestrated this disappearance. They arrive at a narrow alley dimly lit by a flickering street lamp, the shadows dancing across brick walls. Hudson notices a series of subtle signs that signal a struggle: a crumpled piece of paper, scuff marks along the edge of a dumpster, and a faint scent in the air that Rex immediately picks up. The dog growls softly, low and controlled, signaling that the trail is alive and moving. Hudson moves forward with caution, flashlight cutting a narrow path through the gloom. His heart pounds, knowing that the climax of this case is imminent, and every move must be precise. The quiet of the alley contrasts sharply with the chaos that could erupt at any moment, heightening the suspense with every step they take. As they round a corner, Hudson spots the first real sign of the perpetrator: a set of fresh footprints leading toward an abandoned building. The structure is dark, windows broken, and the door slightly ajar, creaking gently in the wind. Rex hesitates for only a moment before moving inside, nose to the ground, tracking the invisible trail. Hudson follows closely, senses heightened, fully aware that any sudden movement could escalate into a confrontation. Inside, the building smells of damp wood and dust, with faint traces of a struggle scattered across the floor. Papers, a tipped chair, and a small flashlight left behind suggest someone had been here recently. Moving cautiously to avoid leaving too many clues, the tension is palpable, each step echoing loudly in the vast, empty space. Hudson notices a faint noise from the far end of the building, a shuffle, a whisper of movement. Rex stiffens, growling, ears pinned forward. Hudson signals the dog to stay close as he moves silently toward the source. As they approach, a figure darts across a shadowed doorway, vanishing before Hudson can reach them. The detective's instincts tell him they were close, maybe too close, to catching the person responsible. On the floor, they discover more clues, left intentionally: a torn sleeve, a small set of keys, and a digital note scrawled in haste. You're getting warmer, but the game is far from over. Whoever is behind this disappearance is not only clever but taunting them, daring Hudson and Rex to continue the chase. The discovery sets a new urgency in motion. Hudson and Rex exit the building, following the trail into the misty streets outside. The city feels different at night, more dangerous, more alive with hidden threats. Hudson senses movement in the shadows around them, subtle hints that someone is observing their progress, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Rex's body tenses, signaling that the scent of the missing woman is close. Hudson's mind races, considering every possibility, the motives, the potential dangers, and the fact that the perpetrator is deliberately staying one step ahead. Each clue they uncover seems calculated, almost as if the person behind it is playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Finally, in a deserted parking lot, they find the faintest trace of the missing woman's presence, a piece of her scarf, caught on a guardrail, fluttering gently in the night breeze. Hudson picks it up carefully, examining it for any further clues. Rex circles the area, alert to every sound and scent. It's clear that the trail is leading them somewhere, but the perpetrator's cleverness has left just enough distance to create tension, fear, and uncertainty. Something strange is happening in St. John's. A city that feels familiar suddenly becomes a puzzle of danger, mystery, and secrets. Hudson knows something is off, and Rex, with his sharp instincts, senses it too. Together, they are about to face a case that will challenge everything they thought they knew. The city streets, the quiet alleys, and even the seemingly safe corners of police headquarters are hiding surprises, and the first steps into this new season promise tension, clever detective work, and unexpected twists. The city of St. John's awakens to a crisp morning, the sunlight glinting off the water and casting long shadows across the streets. But beneath this peaceful scene, there is a tension in the air. At the police headquarters, the usual buzz of activity feels different, heavier. Officers glance at each other with subtle unease, their radios crackling with reports that hint at something unusual. Hudson arrives early, as he always does, carrying his folder of cases. Scanning the bulletin board for updates, he notices a new case file tacked in the corner, one that hasn't been logged in the usual system. Something about it immediately draws his attention. It's marked urgent, with no explanation, and the handwriting is hurried, almost chaotic. Rex, loyal and observant as ever, sits quietly beside Hudson, his ears twitching at every sound. The detective kneels down, patting Rex's side. Whispering a soft command, Rex's nose twitches as he sniffs the file, sensing something Hudson cannot yet identify. There is an unspoken understanding between them. When a case smells different, when danger lingers just beneath the surface, Rex will know. And this case smells like trouble. As Hudson flips open the file, his eyes narrow. The report details the disappearance of a young woman last seen near one of the quieter docks. Her apartment was left untouched, her personal belongings exactly where they were supposed to be. Nothing was stolen, nothing was broken except for her sudden absence. The more Hudson reads, the more he senses that this is no ordinary disappearance. The circumstances are peculiar, almost staged. There is a pattern emerging in the report, one that feels familiar to Hudson, but he cannot place it immediately. The fingerprints are minimal, the CCTV footage missing keyframes, and the neighbors' statements conflict with one another. He leans back in his chair, rubbing his forehead. Rex nudges the file, his eyes fixed on Hudson, as if urging him to act. The detective takes a deep breath. They have work to do. Outside the precinct, the streets of St. John's are waking up. Cars move slowly through the narrow lanes, and pedestrians hustle along the sidewalks, unaware of the hidden dangers that lurk just beneath the city's calm exterior. Hudson and Rex step into the morning light, a mixture of determination and urgency in their steps. The dog's leash is taut, his posture alert, sensing every movement around them. The dock area looms ahead, quiet and misty, with faint waves lapping against the wooden pilings. There is a stillness here that Hudson finds unnerving. Something feels wrong, but he cannot yet pinpoint what it is. As they approach the scene, Hudson notices small details that others might overlook. A discarded coffee cup that seems out of place, a faint trail of footprints leading toward the water, and a piece of torn fabric snagged on a nail. Each clue adds to the puzzle, creating more Questions, then answers. Rex sniffs the air, then the ground, pulling slightly on the leash, signaling that there is something worth investigating. Hudson crouches down, examining the footprints. The pattern suggests a hurried exit, someone trying to leave quickly without attracting attention. The torn fabric appears to be from a coat, possibly snagged in the struggle or the rush. The detective's mind races as he pieces together the initial scene. He instructs the nearby officers to secure the area, ensuring that nothing is disturbed. Until forensics can arrive, every detail, every clue is vital. Hudson watches Rex work methodically, his sharp instincts guiding him toward the hidden evidence. The bond between the detective and his canine partner is evident, seamless, and efficient. Each knows the other's thoughts without needing words, as the morning mist begins to lift. Revealing more of the doc, Hudson senses that this is only the beginning of a case that will test both his skills and Rex's abilities. The quiet unease in the air tells him one thing for sure: this disappearance is not random. Someone planned it, and they left just enough of a trail to tease the investigators, daring them to follow. The scene sets the tone for the season, a combination of sharp detective work, suspenseful investigation, and an unbreakable partnership between man and dog. As Hudson surveys the surroundings, the faintest movement in the distance catches his eye. A shadow slips behind a building, disappearing. Before he can react, Rex growls softly, his ears pinned forward, and Hudson knows this case will not be simple. With that, they begin their first steps into the mystery, aware that every second counts and that every clue might be the key to solving the puzzle before the trail goes cold. The disappearance weighs heavily on Hudson as he walks through the dock area, his eyes scanning every corner for something that might explain the sudden vanishing. The morning sun reflects off puddles on the worn wooden planks, making them glimmer like broken glass. Hudson kneels down, examining a faint trail of footprints leading toward a row of abandoned warehouses. Each step leaves him more puzzled. The footprints don't match the shoes found in the apartment, and there are no tire tracks nearby, suggesting the missing person wasn't picked up in a vehicle. Something about the scene doesn't add up, and Hudson can feel that subtle tension pressing against him, like the quiet before a storm. Rex's ears perk up as he sniffs along the edge of a rusted chain-link fence. The dog pauses, then starts circling, tail stiff, clearly detecting something hidden from human eyes. Hudson leans close to the dog, following his lead. A discarded scarf caught on the fence flutters slightly in the wind, its frayed edge hinting at a struggle. Hudson picks it up carefully, noting the faint trace of a scent that Rex has already locked onto. He whispers a quiet instruction, and Rex begins to follow, moving quickly yet deliberately, tracing the trail invisible to the human eye. Together, they move in perfect sync, every instinct, every observation feeding into the other dot as they move through the narrow alleyways behind the warehouses. Hudson can't shake the feeling that they're being watched. Shadows stretch long across the brick walls, the occasional metallic clang echoing eerily. Hudson motions for Rex to stay close, his hand resting lightly on the dog's harness. They approach an old loading dock, its wooden boards creaking underfoot. Hudson notices faint scuff marks, partially obscured by dust and grime. They lead toward a darkened doorway, just big enough for a person to slip through. He pauses, taking in the scene the way the sunlight hits the broken windows. The way the air smells faintly of saltwater and mildew. It's quiet, too quiet, inside. Hudson's flashlight cuts a narrow path through the darkness. Dust motes float in the beam, creating the illusion of movement. But Rex moves with confidence, sniffing every corner. Hudson notices small, nearly invisible signs of human presence: a smudge on a wall, footprints in the dust, a crumpled paper note partially hidden behind a crate. Each clue is subtle, but together they tell a story. Someone had been here recently. Moving carefully to avoid detection, leaving just enough for a dog and a seasoned detective to piece together. Hudson's mind races as he considers the possibilities. Was this a kidnapping, a trap, or something else entirely? Suddenly, Rex freezes and lets out a low growl, his body tense. Hudson follows the dog's gaze and notices a faint light flickering. Inside a back office space, it's small, almost imperceptible, but enough to suggest that someone or something is inside. Hudson takes a deep breath, his instincts sharpening. He knows they're close to uncovering the first tangible lead. Moving cautiously, he edges toward the office while keeping one hand on Rex, ready for any sudden movement. The air feels charged. The kind of energy that signals a breakthrough or a dangerous confrontation. Every sound, the distant hum of machinery, the scrape of metal, the faint drip of water seems amplified in the silence. As they enter the office, Hudson spots a small table with a series of items arranged in a way that suggests deliberate placement. A half-open backpack, a cell phone face down, and a single photograph tucked under a stack of papers. Rex sniffs the photograph, nudging it toward Hudson. The image shows the missing woman in a public park, smiling, unaware of the danger approaching. Hudson studies the photograph, noting subtle details, the background, the shadows, even the way her scarf is wrapped. It's clear that whoever left these items wants the investigators to find them. Almost tauntingly, the feeling of being watched grows stronger, and Hudson senses that they are no longer alone in the building. He signals for Rex to stay calm and slowly moves toward the window, peeking through the blinds. Outside, the street looks ordinary, but Hudson notices movement at the far end of the alley, a figure slipping into the shadows, disappearing before he can react. Rex growls again, tugging slightly on the leash, clearly aware of the unseen presence. Hudson takes a steadying breath. This is more than just a simple missing person case. It's carefully orchestrated, and every clue they uncover seems to lead them deeper into a web of deception. Hudson knows one thing for certain: the investigation has just begun, and every moment from